So after playing pro, you retired in 2016. You coached the Pride, you're assistant GM. You continue to work for USSSA Pride, and then you continue to work as an ESPN analyst. Talk a little bit about your first experience calling a game, and what do you remember, and what did you learn from that?
I mean, I try to flush that memory as quick as possible.
Okay.
For anyone who knows me, quiet would not be a word that you would use to describe me
No.
at all. And when I think of that first game, I went back and listened, and I do think, someone was in my ear, probably like speak up or all this other stuff. And I went back and listened, and I'm like, whose voice is that? I sound like a late night host on a radio, like listening to smooth jazz. Like, wow. I don't know I have no idea what I was saying. I was just like, wow. And that was a really nice I was like, what is this voice? And like, why do you think, like, just because you don't understand, right? It's not like you get sent to a school of what to expect or what to do. And it's not until later that you realize, oh, there is an audio guy in the truck that's actually has been listening to you before you went on air to adjust the volume of your voice. So if I am my loud, normal self, I'm not blowing everyone's eardrums out, but like, if you don't know what you don't know. And so here I am whispering throughout the game. So that was brutal. Yeah. So I guess though, the moment you can start listening to yourself and not pushing pause or pushing delete, you're starting to get better. Hopefully.
Yeah. About how many games in do you think it took for you to kind of feel comfortable and at ease with the process of prepping for a game and then calling a game?
I don't know that I ever feel 100% comfortable until I actually get to the field that day. I think every year I've tried preparing a little bit differently. I've been living in an archaic way with all my handwritten notes until this year. Of course, this year I start a whole new prepping process and I love it. And I'm, got my spreadsheets going on Excel and Google sharing it all. I'm just like ready to help the world. And then the world stops, but I'm going to use it next year still in 2021. Yeah, but you learn and you ask questions just like we do in anything. Jessica Mendoza was a huge help for me at the very beginning, asking, what kind of questions do you ask? When is it appropriate to ask questions? Then you realize you're a part of, because even the first couple games, I think it's more you're a fill-in usually for someone else that's supposed to be doing it. So I was a fill-in on LHN for either Amanda or Kat. They were the ones that were commentating LHN at the time and getting most of the reps that maybe get like 5 games in a season, which isn't very much. I mean, it's a lot. But then if they're so scattered out, how do you really know if you're doing well, getting better? And you just have to make sure you're recording what you're doing and going back and listening and being your own teacher, which I think anyone who's played a sport, we're all pretty hard on ourselves. So if you do take the time to go back and watch yourself, you can learn a lot. And then you start watching games a lot more. I know that I love softball, but I'm not usually setting a timer to make sure to get home to watch a certain game. At least I wasn't. And I think this was my 9th season starting calling games. So 9 years ago, you're kind of into it. I was playing Japan. Sometimes, I mean, you and I talk about this a lot. I need a break from softball because it's just so much part of your life. So I had to start thinking of it more as work instead of just pleasure. And listening to how other people are calling a game, it kind of starts ruining just watching softball because now you do have to listen. Whereas maybe before I would watch the game and not listen to what people are saying.
Mm.
But if I do that, then I'm not understanding what makes this person good, what do you like that this person's doing, and then you start learning, what makes you stand out. I would have to say, compared to everyone else that's commentating on a game. Listen to a lot of baseball. I personally like listening to a homer at a baseball game, because that's kind of what I was getting to do, right? I get to call all Texas's home games. Well, what makes, if you are a huge, let's just say, I don't know, St. Louis Cardinals fan, and I knew a few people that like they were home every afternoon to watch the Cardinals game, and you listen to the way that they kind of engage with the TV, it's because that commentator, the play-by-play, and the analysts are there every day with these people. So you start understanding, how you build that with the people listening in. And I felt Longhorn Network, and for softball and for probably most sports, was the first time softball's ever had that, because any other time softball's on TV, it's a big event because they were only on like 10 times, a year for a while, if that, back when you and I played. It was only just the World Series, which is the biggest of big events. So you hear these huge excitement, and every pitch is huge. But like, what about our Wednesday midweek game? Yes, it's a big deal, but how do we get into the nitty gritty and realize majority of our viewers on those games already know all this stuff that you want to say, right? So how do you start trying to, still keep their attention when you're on the 30th game of the season? So those were different reasons why I would watch a little bit more baseball day games, to understand like how you keep that flow.